Hey, welcome aspiring programmers. In this session, we are going to talk about some tips that avoids common mistakes that we make while writing a program. Especially when we are a new programmer, we are making a lot of mistakes, and this is the video where I'm going to share some tips. By using these tips, surely you will avoid some mistakes that you are going to make when you are writing a program. So let's start our tips. But before that, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe the channel and click on notification icon so that you will get updates of my new videos and you will get a new updated knowledge in the field of programming. So without wasting a time, let's jump into our actual topic where I'm going to share some tips to avoid some common mistakes that we are making, especially when you are a new programmer. So tip number one is plan your code before you write it. So even before you touch your keyboard, you take some time to plan your code. So you can imagine what should be the flow of your program, what are the decisions you are going to make, and you to make the complete outline of your program so that this will help you to avoid making some hasty decisions at the time of writing a program, and it will ensure less number of errors in your program. So take a time before writing your program, create your complete outline and a pseudocode, and then start your actual programming. Tip number 2 is use meaningful variable names. In every program we have to create a lot of different variables and we have to give the names. They are also called as identifiers because they are identified with the name. Now it's very natural that you like, or it is tempting to write a short and symbolic name for variable names. Now it looks very easy when you are giving a name, but later on when you are using these variables in your entire program or a project, it becomes very difficult. So if you are using cryptic variable names, short variable names, it will create a lot of problems later on. Instead, use clear and meaningful variable name that will describe the exact role of variable in a program. So you can use the full name like this. For example, if you are using a registration number of a student in your program, then you can use S or STUDREGNO. Now this entire thing will explain that it is a student registration number in your program. So whenever you are using this variable in future and you are writing some code with the variable, you will make less number of errors and it will reduce the list of your errors. It will also help to increase the readability of your program. So when you are using such meaningful and descriptive names for variable, other person who is reading your program will easily understand what is the purpose of the variable, and overall readability of your program will be improved. Tip number 3, comment your code. So every programming language supports some comments in your program. There are different types of comments: single line comments, multi-line comments, documentation comments. So you have to learn the technique to write comments in your programming language, and you have to add those comments in your code. It will increase the readability of program. When other person is reading your program, will surely understand what is the purpose of the block of that code. So for every line, for every block of code, you can write a comment before or after. Now it's your choice where to write the comment. Generally we are writing comment at the beginning of your any block, and if it is a single line comment, then give the statement, and after statement you can put what is the purpose of the statement. Now this is the way you can describe your program. So it not only reduces error but also increases the readability of your program. It helps to remember the purpose of your coding block. Sometimes it happens that you have written a program but you are reading this program after a long time. By that time you cannot remember the logic behind the program, and then again you have to spend a lot of time to understand what is the logic, what was the purpose of the code. But if you are writing comments properly, then you don't need to spend that much time to recall what is the logic and what is the purpose of the code. So this will help not only you but to your team members. So you can describe your program with the help of comments, and because of the comments you will surely reduce the errors, especially when you are updating your program. So comments increases readability and reduces errors in program updation. Tip number 4 is test your code incrementally. Instead of running a program at the end and testing for errors, it is recommended to test your program incrementally. So what you can do here, you can break your program in different pieces, or you can say in the form of modules or functions, and then you have to test these modules or parts of programs separately and find out errors. By using this way, you can catch errors at early stages, and it will be very easy to find out and repair the errors because the size of code is smaller one. So instead of getting list of lot of errors, you can test your part of program and find out errors for that particular part of program. That will be surely helpful to reduce the errors, or at least it will be helpful to overcome those errors easily. Tip number 5, learn from others. Don't afraid to read programs written by others, how they are writing a program, or don't afraid to take help from others when you are writing a code. There are a lot of resources available online, including forums, tutorials, or open source projects. You can download them, you can read them, you can find how they are written. Whenever you are reading programming books, you can try to understand how the code blocks are written so that it can be easily understood by anyone, and it will reduce the number of errors too. By studying experienced programmers and the way they are writing code, you can pick a valuable information and insights for your programming. And that's why it is very important to review the code written by others. That will surely help you to reduce your errors. Tip number 6, keep learning and practicing. Now this is final tip. Now that I'm always saying that you have to keep yourself updated, and for this purpose, programming is a skill that improves with your practice and continuous learning. So you have to keep your learning continuously, you have to keep yourself updated, you have to always learn for standard practices, best practices, new tools available for programming, new programming languages, those are coming in the market, and you have to update your knowledge with this. So there are more opportunities available on online that will help you to keep updated, and the most important thing that you have to join a community of programmer. That certainly helps you to keep updated. Not only to keep it keeps you updated, but it supports you to get a new knowledge, and that will motivate you to get maximum out of your knowledge. So community is very important for your career, for your motivation, and for your prosperity and new opportunities in IT industry. So joining a right community is always recommended, where you will get lot of other people, those are also like you, and like-minded people can do lot of things together by sharing their experiences, knowledge, and skills. You can also go for getting some good mentor that will be a role model for you, and that will be very useful to keep you updated and motivated in your career. It will be very useful to become proficient programmer and getting prosperous life ahead. So these are 6 tips that will be very useful to keep your errors at a minimum level, and surely these tips will help you to avoid errors, especially when you are a new programmer. I hope this information is very useful. If you like this video, please hit a like button, subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and write in a comment box that what are other tips that you have observed or experienced that will be also useful to reduce the error. So I'm waiting for your comments. Let's meet in the next video. As always, happy coding, happy learning.